For the first time in more than 5.5 years. For the first time in more than 5.5 years, we finally tonight have a few new answers to a question that has loomed over Indiana and over the town of Delphi. Who killed Abby Williams and Libby Jones?
From the end of the bridge to, you got to go through. Now, I believe that the bodies were found about 50.
Born from a family's grief and determination. In April of 2020, Army soldier Vanessa Guillen went missing while stationed at one of the largest military installations.
That little music in the background that goes, "Don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious."
Right.
Knew about it or was there. He's as guilty as the person who committed
Chilling details in the arrest of a suspected serial killer caught before he could strike again.
Him, they dropped the ball, man. Like they said, he went AWOL, and that he was a deserter, and nobody went to look for him.
Today is not a day to celebrate, but the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder.
Like I said, we're going back. We were asked last time to kind of talk about the food, the grub truck video, and kind of give our perspective of it. The press release from the police department, it indicated that they're still trying to put pieces together from that night. Does that worry you at any point or at any bit that they're still trying to put those pieces together?
It's been over 5 weeks since little Kaylee Anthony vanished. Her mother, Casey, has been arrested for lying to police. She's being held without bail.
Hey, greetings from the year 3000. It still sucks. This is Philip J. Fry, and you're listening to The Drunken Turkey Show, your one stop for this sort of thing. Hit that button, like and subscribe. You know what to do, just like every other podcast.
What is up? Welcome back to The Drunk Turkey Show. I'm your host, Daniel J. Alongside with me is Jaime. Big Blue, I know you're backstage. I'm not sure which stream to add. There's 2 of them. So whenever you're ready, just jump on in, bro.
Dealer's choice.
Dealer's choice. So how you doing tonight, Jaime?
I'm doing awesome. I'm here with y'all drinking Friday.
What is it that you're drinking, young man?
Oh, the same thing from last time. Some Murdaugh with some Dr. Pepper.
Oh, man. That stuff goes down smooth, man. I wanted to go, a little bit old school today and a little new school, a little both of everything. So I went with some Bud Light to start things off. Mm-hmm. But I got 2 different beers that one of them we've tried. It's called the Taco Truck Lime Lager. You can't see it because it's green. Yeah. But this one's pretty good. It's the Dust Bowl Brewing Company. We drank that one last time. It was the winner in the drink off that we had. And then the other one I had, it's called Puro Pickles. It is a pickle juice.
Your favorite.
Yes, sir. So I'm looking forward to these beverages. I'll be drinking those tonight. Big Blue, welcome to the show. How you doing? Again, Yellowstone in the house.
What was that? The alter ego of Garth Brooks. Remember that? He made like an album.
Dude, like Jason Aldean or something. I'm just kidding.
Shit.
It was. It was like James Dean, or I don't know what it was. But tonight we got a special guest in the house. They're from Publicly Buzzed, Steve and Dan. Welcome to the show. How's it going, guys?
What is up? Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Glad you guys can be a part of the show. I've watched you guys cover a couple things in the Idaho case and the Alex Murdaugh trial. Like what I see, thought it'd be a great time to get you guys on board. We had you guys scheduled not too long ago, but both you and Jaime, Steve got sick, so had to reschedule.
Did you get hit with the 192, Jaime?
No, I just got what's it called? Like a throat infection. I always have a tonsillitis shit. Man.
Gotcha.
But I mean, if I did, it would have been my 5th time.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm liking y'all's beard too, man. I'm
Thanks.
We're amongst men here.
You too, man.
I think everybody
gotta mesmerize
has...
the crowd with the beards, fellas.
Yeah, man. You're lagging, man. You, Danny, and Big Bro, you gotta get a beard, man.
Man.
I have to trim mine for work, man. I gotta make sure the N95 still work.
Oh, that's right.
The longer my beard looked, the more like a Spanish soap opera star I started to look like. So it was like it was not working out for me. I was starting to speak Spanish during the commercials. It was weird. So Steve, are you drinking with us tonight?
Yes, indeed, man. I have got, per usual, what I usually have on the stream, a Diet DDP and a Crown Royal, actually.
Nice.
It's a very, like every time I say it, I feel weird even saying it because it's not a Coke and Crown. But
right.
I was telling you guys before we actually come on here, I normally in real life just drink, Diet DDP, but I tried it one day with the Crown and dude, it works. I don't know. I like it.
Nice. I have a, it's seasonal. I'm not sure if they're still selling it anymore, but around Christmas time they were. Crown was selling a salted caramel whiskey.
Whoa.
Man, it with Dr. Pepper, it's amazing. It's one of my favorite drinks. If they don't have it, there's a Murdaugh, which is what Jaime is drinking tonight. Salted caramel whiskey nice. As well. It's pretty good. It's pretty close.
I love caramel.
Yeah, it's pretty close, but that stuff's amazing. It goes down smooth. Dan, go ahead.
Sorry, I have the regular Crown tonight, but usually, because we're just coming off the holidays, I've had a Crown, a peach Crown. That's been pretty delightful.
Oh, okay. Ooh. Yeah, no, I like that. Dan, what are you drinking tonight, if you are?
I got Kraken rum with Coke, and as a backup, I've got some beer. I've got Devil's Backbone with this wild fancy can brain juice dank IPA.
No. We don't call them IPAs here. Jaime, what do we call them?
We call them IPAs.
IPA.
Okay.
I might start using that.
It's true. You got to go back and watch the show. Inside joke. We did a drink off where we're tasting different types of drinks, and Jaime wasn't familiar with the IPA, so he's like,
yeah.
Okay.
I just said it like I saw it. You know what I'm saying?
like Stevie with your name. He was calling you Jamie there for a while.
Same difference.
Yeah, on my one of my streams, I was like, I'm sorry I missed you guys. Jamie couldn't be on, and then I was getting corrected, and I was like, oh shit, like I felt terrible.
That's cool.
But we really didn't actually get to really talk that night very much at all.
Yeah.
Alrighty. I wanted to say what I'm drinking tonight, guys. I forgot to say it earlier.
Oh, what are you drinking with us, Blue?
So I got to build a 6-pack as a Valentine's Day gift.
Nice.
Who's the lucky guy?
It's called the True Love, and it's a raspberry sour ale. I got a Austin Amber. I got a Houston Haze. I got an in-stock Iceland Arctic Pale Ale. And I got a Brewdog Elvis Juice. And then I got Independence Brewing Company Pilsner, a native Texan beer.
You sound like you're talking.
You know what that means, right? That there's a good chance Blue's not going to have all his clothes on by the end of the show.
One can only be so lucky.
They'll be passing out over there, Blue.
Is Blue known to get shirtless when he gets drunk?
He's known to do some crazy things when he gets drunk.
My goal is to one day drink with Bert, the comedian. Bert.
Oh man, Bert Kreischer?
Yeah.
Dude, that'd be rad.
Dude, we gotta make that happen. For those that are watching, that are on the TikTok world, clip that, send that out to him. Get Bert and Blue to enjoy beer together. That'd be great. But tonight,
I bet if you go to one of his shows, he'd probably have a beer with you.
Yeah, I'm gonna take off my shirt. He just doesn't come to San Antonio.
Bert loves to go shirtless. That's his whole gimmick, dude. Right? This is meant to be, bro.
Yep.
Oh man, that's a lot of testosterone going on. So tonight we're going to be talking two cases. We're going to be talking about the current trial that's going on between against Alec Murdaugh, and we're also going to be talking about the Idaho 4 and give our thoughts and theories. This is going to be a more of a relaxed show, just kind of a couple of guys drinking a few beers, talking a couple cases. Now, we'll start off today with the Alex Murdaugh trial. I'll be 100% honest with you guys. We've caught bits and pieces there, but we haven't been following it. So we have a few questions for you guys.
There's a lot.
For sure. We'll make it simple. First and foremost, who are the Murdaughs?
Okay. From left to right, on the very far left, have any of you guys seen out the gate just anything like documentary wise? Have you been tainted in any way?
I've seen a little bit. I ain't gonna lie, and I've seen some of the court hearings.
I've seen a couple.
I watched that HBO Max Low Country documentary before I got into any of this, and it 100% tainted my idea of the case before going in. When I was first getting in this, I was telling people, check it out. I mean, it's good. It's really well done, but you know how a documentary is going to do. They're there for basically one reason, to kind of sway what you're thinking one way or the other.
They have a narrative they're trying to push.
From left to right, we got Buster, and next we have Maggie, which is his mom. And then next to her, we have Paul, which is the son. Okay, and then right in the middle, Maggie and Paul, that is who the murder trial is actually about. That is who was killed on the Moselle farm, the property that they own. And then right next to them, we have Alex Murdaugh, the man that is currently on trial and being accused of murder of his wife and son.
Now, where did this happen? In what state, city?
This is from South Carolina, not too far from Charleston, South Carolina, but it's in like the Low Country. Are you guys familiar with South Carolina? You guys ever go to like Myrtle Beach or anything?
I went out there for basic training.
Yeah, me too.
But I didn't see anything but the ground doing push-ups.
Gotcha. Yeah, South Carolina. I like South Carolina. I was actually born in South Carolina.
Really? It's a little too warm for me.
And we have family there in South Carolina now that actually isn't too far from this. But yeah, I mean, my thought before though, what I was saying. If anybody that's going to get into this, if you go in from, if you go in now, or if you go in from the beginning, if you go backwards, I would actually recommend don't watch the documentaries. I know Netflix is doing one also. I would say go in with just like nothing. I mean, maybe some articles, maybe just a general idea of what's happening. Because I went in basically not knowing what was going on. I watched the HBO documentary first. Going into the trial, in my head, I'd already said that this guy was the murderer. This guy was a piece of garbage. And I'm not saying he's not, but at the same time, what's been going on in this trial, and I know there's a lot of different opinions. I watched this, and so I'm looking at this all day long. I'm looking at Twitter, hashtags of this and all the different opinions. I'm looking at the chat, in the live streams I'm watching on the Law and Crime. And you're going to see, I would say, honestly, and every time I've seen a poll taken, it's about 50-50, a 60-40. Like, no one can, right. and dude, like I was telling you guys before this, I've flip-flopped on this multiple times and could flip-flop again. 100%.
Like you said, watching the documentary is going to taint your perspective for sure. I mean, there's 100 other reasons to hate this guy other than the murder, the murders. Right. If he's guilty of the murders, he's done a lot of other shady shit, and so is Paul and potentially Buster. And I mean, there's a lot going on there.
Are you guys familiar with the boating accident that Paul Murdaugh?
Yeah. Right. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Sorry. Yeah.
Let's take it one step. So. Back to who they are. So they're a family. What is his job, or what was his job?
Yeah, he was a big time lawyer, attorney in the area. Basically, his family for the last 100 years has owned this area in South Carolina. What is the actual name of the area?
He's the prime solicitor for that area. He's basically the district attorney.
Yeah, he's the dude.
Yeah, the main prosecutor.
And not to get too far ahead again, but he is involved outside of this murder case in like over 100 financial crimes currently as well.
Right. So he was apparently Alex Murdaugh had a problem with drugs and was stealing some money using his position, correct?
Yeah. Currently,
long story short,
and currently, just on that point, that this just pretty much came out in trial, he was spending $50,000 a day. Dang. Not a week, not a month, a day on drugs.
That seems
how is that even possible?
Right? Yeah,
how can it be so much BS in this case, but that's what they were saying, and they're trying to make you believe that.
Blue, you're the medical professional here. What are there drugs that somebody can spend $50,000 a day use and still survive, or do you think he's having some type of party?
I don't know. To me, it sounds like a party, man, because $1,000 can get you quite a bit of stuff, no matter what you're getting.
It is pills.
What's the most expensive street drug out there? In that you could reasonably
OxyContin or something, right?
I mean, that's what I was thinking. Oxy is heroin's pretty expensive, I would imagine, right?
Yeah.
No, I mean heroin and stuff. People steal TVs to afford that. The pawn shops don't give you crap for it, so not too expensive. But
actual pharmaceutical drugs probably is the hardest stuff.
The stuff that people actually need. And so,
sorry, Dana, but the only thing that I could possibly think of would be partying and OxyContin. Like that's the only. And I'm going to put it with this reference. I'm a huge professional wrestling fan. And professional wrestlers throughout the history, I don't know if you guys like wrestling, but wrestlers have always had huge drug problems. And they're synonymous with drugs like OxyContin and Somas, and huge numbers of them. Like once their bodies get so, the tolerance level builds up so high, they can do like 30 and 40 pills, which sounds absolutely astronomical, but their bodies are still processing it. And that's the only thing that I can kind of put a reference point on it. And that's just coming from, autobiographies, the books or documentaries that I've read and the stories that are coming in. Those can kind of be, slighted with BS also, but $50,000 a day seems crazy to me.
Yeah, that's pretty outstanding. And so, Alex Murdaugh, he gets into some financial issues, though, right? Was that after he got fired? Because he got fired, he got busted, right, for doing all this financial stuff. That was the first thing that happened, correct?
Yeah, he was basically going down. Basically, I mean, to go back just a little bit further, everything that opened the box, Pandora's box for this whole thing, was Paul's boat crash.
Tell us about Paul's boat crash. Who's Paul? Paul is his son, right?
Paul was his son. Paul was the driving the boat in 2019 when it actually killed a girl. They were all partying. They were out, taking a boat out, hitting bars, coming back. They were going, and I think like over 100 miles per hour on the water. Paul was absolutely hammered. And get this, I don't know if you've heard this part. This is one of the trippiest, weirdest parts. When Paul, and you'll see this in the documentaries or anything mentioned about Paul, when Paul gets hammered and gets really trashed, his hands stop working. His hands, and they kind of pause the frame of him walking that night on the dock, getting back to the boat, and they're kind of helping him. But like his hands literally just are doing this.
They're stiff, like they can't relax.
They just go stiff.
Yeah, that's weird.
And that's what everybody says. Like his friends say that, people that knew him, that are talking about him in documentaries. And then if you actually look at the only reference point that I have is the point when they're leaving that dock before the accident. And dude, you can just tell. Like it's the strangest thing I've ever seen.
There's security footage, and I think there's pictures of him too, where he's just like his hands are like this in the pictures. Like even he has his arm around a friend, and they're like this.
How much? I think he's doing something else, but how much do you have to drink for your hands to go numb? I mean,
right.
But even if they're numb, they relax, right?
And he has an alter
stiff.
When he gets so hammered, they have an alter ego name for him. They call him Timmy. He's not the same person, everyone says.
Which is
he becomes a completely different guy. And he was hammered that night, and he insisted on driving the boat. They were begging him not to, which I would say hold the dude down and just take the boat. But they this guy ended up driving the boat, and he would get like real frantic, and I guess trying to fight him if he, and he was having a fight with his girlfriend that night anyway. So he was trying to prove a point, I guess, and then crashed this boat. A girl died. Her name was Mallory. They actually lost her that night. They didn't even find her till the next morning. The footage of that's in the documentary, that is very interesting. That is very telling. As soon as the cops get there and they're talking to Paul, Paul's first words are basically, "Get me my dad and my grandpa on the phone." The grandpa's still alive at this point. And they start going into hyper overdrive, trying to work the system. Basically, that night in the hospital, they're going to hospital rooms. They're talking to one of the other kids. They're trying to get one of the other kids to take the fall on the boat. But that's what opened Pandora's box. They were trying to cover that up, but they pushed the issue, and Paul was actually in trial when him and his mom were murdered. The trial was active.
And even the boyfriend of the girl who was actually killed in that accident, the footage from that night, he says something to the cops like, "Do you know who his father is?" Something along those lines.
Yeah.
And he's like his father's Alex Murdaugh. He's not gonna get in trouble for this. Like he knew. Everybody knew already. It was the kid's
girlfriend that went missing and got lost and unfortunately died that night. Yeah. He was losing it, as you can imagine. And he was telling the cops right there, he's like, "This kid, nothing's gonna happen to this kid. Do you know who his father is?" And but that, back to the point of the whole thing, that is ultimately what opened Pandora's box, is that boat crash. And once the trial started flowing and people started looking into stuff, that's when the financial stuff. And I will say this: if anybody's watching the trial in real time, any of his best friend that works with him, the lady that keeps the books with his firm, I 100% believe, just with their answers, that they knew about this. Like, there's probably going to be some more kickback on those people. Honestly, like,
for sure,
there was all kinds of shady stuff going on.
Did she fall off the boat, or did he hit her with a boat when she was swimming?
They hit a bridge.
She was in the boat and just, I guess,
they
flew
crashed.
off the boat
They
when
crashed
hit the
into a bridge.
Right.
So I mean, she could have connected with something or just flown
Yeah,
off.
no,
Yeah.
going 100 miles per hour, man. I've been on a boat going like 70. I mean, I've been on a jet boat, but I've been on a regular boat going like 70. And just hitting those waves, you can fly off that damn boat. I mean, it's close.
For sure, for sure. I want to say real quick, thank you to Queen of the People for your $3 super sticker, and Obsessed for Disneyland for your 99-cent super sticker. We appreciate that. We'll drink to that all night long. Thank you.
And I want to say the first beer, the Islandton, the Iceland one, it's a good beer, 4 out of 5. Now, the next one I'm doing is a Houston Haze, and I can already smell like it's got the grapefruit in it. So,
Blue, did you already slam one of those beers?
Yeah, it's gone.
Hell yeah. Nice.
He's not the only one.
What's it called? The Paul was the younger one, right?
Yeah, Paul's the younger one.
Yeah.
Buster's still alive. You'll still see Buster every day in court behind his dad.
So,
what's it called?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
From what I heard is that he used his brother's ID to get beer. Is that true?
Yep.
I haven't heard that right off, but I wouldn't doubt it.
He did. So when they bought beer that night that they went on they took the boat out, he used Buster's ID to buy the beer.
Oh, no, I do remember that. Yep.
So
ringing my bell.
So when the law enforcement was called for the accident, they pretty much used just his name as an intimidation, right? Like just trying to say, like, you can't even mess with these people, right?
Yeah, exactly. Dude, the Murdaughs own the town. Like Alex Murdaugh being the main solicitor, prosecutor, district attorney, whatever you want to call it, they ran the whole show. They ran basically the most
interesting. The most interesting part from that documentary is after that accident and seeing the security footage from the hospital and seeing Alec Murdaugh and his father go room to room trying to contain this mess before basically law enforcement could talk to anybody, and they're trying to persuade other kids to take the fall. And I'm sure telling them, "Hey, we'll take care of you. We'll pay for the lawyers. Like, or maybe I'll be your lawyer." Like, it's really deep.
And it goes deeper than just Alex Murdaugh being the district attorney of this town. He's the 4th generation in a row. Is it 4, Stevie? It was 4 generations, right?
I think he's the
3rd generation in a row.
I think
to be in that position. Like his father was in that position. His grandfather was in that position. His grandfather's picture is hanging in the courtroom that Alex Murdaugh is being tried in right now. I mean, they took it down.
They did. They took it down.
But it's insane.
So they've been in power for a couple of generations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. But you know that
in power for many generations, and something like old Buster is going to be screwed. Is going to actually have to work in his life.
The one thing that it also tells me is it shows a pattern of these people being or doing whatever it takes to get off. You know, and so
keeping their head above water no matter what.
Salud.
Oh man, we got a $13.99.
Oh,
cheers.
whoa.
Oh hell yeah! Cheers!
Cheers!
Hell yeah!
$13.99 Canadian. What is that U.S.?
Yeah, I've seen Miss Thing in my chat before. How you doing? Happy Friday.
Yeah, and so so that happens. Now, does that situation get resolved before the murders, or is that something that was still ongoing?
I'm sorry, I missed that. Sorry.
The situation with Paul and the boating while under the influence. And I'm guessing they were going to charge him with manslaughter. It would sound like it. Yeah, Did that all get fixed, or was that still ongoing?
That was ongoing.
Ongoing, yeah. When the murders happened with Maggie and Paul, that trial was still actually happening. The lawyers currently representing Alec, Harpootlian and Griffin, Harpootlian's team were representing Paul when he was murdered.
Actually, an interesting tidbit there is the fact that trial was ongoing is actually motive for Alex to have killed Paul. So he killed Paul and Maggie, right? Well, we got motive for Maggie. Maggie was his wife, and they were separated. She was living somewhere else. They were likely, no divorce was filed, but they were likely going to get a divorce. Mm-hmm. So
because of everything that happened with Paul.
Through that divorce process, I mean, financial records are going to come out. I mean, they got to split stuff, right? So financial
Right.
stuff's going to come out. He's going to get found out for all these wrongdoings, all these shady dealings he's been doing, which a lot of that stuff was coming out through the Paul trial anyway. But the fact that if he wants to get rid of all that, he wants to make it all disappear, who do you take out? The woman that wants to divorce you and the son that has the trial that's uncovering all this stuff. So it actually gives, because my first question was, well, all right, so he's got motive for Maggie, but what's the motive for Paul? Right? Was he just collateral damage?
Paul messes me up more than Maggie.
Yeah, but the trial, that could have been the motive.
And so the day of the incident that this happens, when does this happen? Do you guys know the date off the top of your heads?
This was, I think it was in June.
I think I have
2021.
Yeah, it was in 2021. I want to say it was
I think it was June 2020.
June 7th.
Okay.
Yeah, June 7th, 2021. So run me down the events that had occurred that day.
Okay,
apparently
so
there was a video,
back,
right?
I've been watching this trial, so let me probably bring this back to you. So basically that day, and Alex had a pretty normal day that day. He went to work. Maggie was staying, like Dan had said, she is actually staying in a different location, which we found out through the trial isn't completely unusual. In warmer months, she would stay at kind of a beach house that they had. That actually wasn't that strange. But, at the same time, when you take into account possibly she was leaving, there's people saying that she was not wearing a ring, but whatever. Alec had a pretty normal day. After work that day, though, his father was in the hospital by this time, and he was dying. His mother's really ill also. She is still alive, though. But his dad actually died 2 days after this event. But 2 days, on the actual day, on the 7th, he told Maggie, can you meet me at Moselle, which is their property. It's a big hunting ground. They have their house there, insanely large property. I think I had it pulled up here.
It's a big property because they had cows and everything.
1,700 acres.
Yeah.
Gigantic hunting property. And he was getting Maggie to meet him there that night, and Maggie actually didn't want to. There's text messages from Maggie talking to somebody else, thinking she thinks it's fishy, something's going on, and he insisted on meeting there. She actually even has said, "I can meet you at the hospital. We can see your father like that." But also, even before we get there, earlier in the day on Moselle, Paul and Alec had met up that day after Alec left work, and they were driving around the property looking at trees, maybe even planting trees. And there's a Snapchat video of that. That's about 6-something in the night, in the day, in the evening.
Then that's a video where his own friend testified against him, right?
Saying that they could hear his voice.
Yeah.
It's not that video. There's another video after that. There's a video that is shot on Paul's phone when he was actually. I'm sorry, Daniel. What?
That was a Snapchat video, right?
Yeah, there are 2 Snapchats though. There's one Snapchat where they're it's him and Paul. Paul's not in the Snapchat actually. I don't believe it's him messing with a tree, but Paul was filming it, and he was wearing different clothing than he was wearing on that evening. They've been hammering down on that. But the Snapchat video you're talking about, Paul was actually filming one of the dogs in the kennels. It wasn't his; it was his friend's, and he was something was wrong with the dog's tail, and he was trying to film it to show, say, hey, this is what's going on. Assuming Alec did not know that was actually being done either. In the background of that video, you can hear what sounds like Alec Murdaugh, hollering at one of the other dogs. You can hear Maggie talking as well, and Paul, who was filming it. So that's the one it's almost impossible to say that that's not.
But hold on. So they're at his property. Alec and his son Paul are driving around doing stuff with trees. Alec then messages his wife to come to the property.
Yeah. I might have had that a little bit out of. You've got it though. Yeah. After they get done messing with the trees, that's when he's they're getting towards. So, I believe the Snapchat, the second one with Paul, when he's looking at the dog, it's already dark. That's 8:50ish.
Right.
Yeah, it's around 9 o'clock. Yeah.
Around that time frame.
But before we go that far, I thought Alex left. Thought he said he went to his parents' house or his mom's house.
Yeah, he says that so the way he's saying it basically is they had dinner that night, actually. He says that him, Maggie, and Paul all had dinner. And I believe that would have been after the first Snapchat video when they're rolling around. After dinner, He says that he laid down on the couch for a minute. I believe, and I might be messing this up slightly. There's a lot to it, but Maggie then, and pretty much Maggie's routine. And a lot of this could be insanely convoluted because a lot of this is Alex Murdaugh's version. I personally don't think that dinner even took place. I don't think that even happened. And there's no evidence that it happened. But Alex's version is that they all ate dinner. He laid down on the couch. Maggie loved the dog. She loved going up and hanging out with the dogs. You know, that would be her thing. Like the dogs were really, they all had their own dog, but Maggie loved to go up and really tend to the dogs. She loved the dogs. They were talking about how basically if Alec was tending to the dogs or Paul, they would just put them in whatever kennel. It didn't matter. But if Maggie was messing with the dog, she had specific kennels, she had a specific way she wanted it done. You know, she actually seemed to care for the dogs. So that's what Alex saying. She was going up there like normal. That's why she would have been up there. But he says that he was not. Is the thing, and that's where the Snapchat comes into play. He says that he was not there at that point in time when clearly in that Snapchat video you can hear what sounds like Alex Murdaugh's voice. I mean,
and his version of the story is like you said, he went to his mom's house and he never went to the kennels at all, right?
So right, he says that after that he went to and this has been questioned a lot too. He does visit his mom a lot, his mom and dad a lot, but never this late is the thing. They're saying that's insane, incredibly unusual that he would come and visit them this late. But that's one thing he said. He said that he went pretty much seen his mom, and then when he came back, that's when he found Maggie and Paul.
I believe there's a caretaker who said he never came that night, right?
Maybe, yeah.
I remember. It's a really nice sound.
Pop another.
There it is. There it is.
So there it is. So this one, I give it a 2, man. It's too grapefruity for me. This one's called Austin Amber, number 3.
I can't hardly get into those super fruity beers either. Or like the chocolate ones that are like real thick and they weigh heavy on your stomach. I can't do those either.
Yeah.
Oh, I drink anything and everything.
Oh, I'll drink one. I'll drink one, but I can't have like a bunch of them.
I'll buy the 6-pack, and if I don't like them, I force myself to drink them.
You don't purchase them, man.
I mean, if it's the only thing you got to.
So one thing that would corroborate Alex Murdaugh's story is the stomach contents during the autopsy. You know, he said that they had dinner, and
Dude,
you know,
I never even thought about that. But
yeah, they should go through that and look at the stomach contents and the autopsy would say whether or not that
Daniel, just the fact that you brought that up right now, like if you watch this, you would be so frustrated. Like there's so much
missed opportunities.
I honestly don't know because state has done such a terrible job of handling the case. Like it's been so messy. Like I was saying earlier, if I was a juror, dude, I could not personally say that he did this if I was a juror. Like even if then there's another spot in the back of my mind to truly get there and being proven, you know, without a shadow of a doubt, like proven, they have not done that. Like,
and the prosecution rested today,
and
right?
the state rested today, and the defense started up.
And
so they've presented all the evidence they have.
Yep.
So there's more to this story, though, right? So he finds them on the ground. He contacts the police. The police get there. He has a weapon on his person. That weapon is not ruled to be one of the weapons that was used in the incident. And it come to find out there's 2 different weapons that were used. Is that correct?
Absolutely. That's correct. Yeah.
That was another point of controversy for me. I was like, why were there 2 weapons? One guy goes in with an assault rifle or like a semi-automatic assault rifle, a 300 blackout rifle that I don't know what the magazine on that rifle holds, but I would imagine more than 7, 8 rounds, 10 rounds, 15 rounds, 30 rounds. I don't know what it is, but it's more than a couple of shots. So the Maggie was shot 3 or 4 times. Paul was shot twice, something like that. So we're talking about 5, 6 shots.
I think
he could have done the whole
5 times.
Was he trying to say it was somebody trying to like be vindictive towards him, and they got his family like for a case that he did?
See, there's so many theories that kind of make sense.
And the boat accident. So the families from the boating accident are.
So could it be upset, a revenge plot from the boating accident? But then the drug thing that comes into play. Apparently, he owes tons of like drug drug dealers insane amounts of money. I mean, we're not talking small amounts of money either. I mean, there's tons of different ways to look at it, but at the same time, you could go back to Alec and thinking that the Paul thing had really gotten to him and he thought it had gone too far. If Maggie was really trying to leave him, did he think that he had so much power that he could get away with something like this? But I think that you should. Have you guys watched any of the like interrogations or like him getting interviewed initially in the car or anything like that?
I've seen some of the interrogations of him in the car.
Because you can, I mean, I personally think you can get a lot from the reaction of somebody. He could be a great actor for all I know, but he seems pretty distraught. I mean, and like I said, I've flip flopped on it, but I don't know, man.
Well,
it's really a conundrum.
Cheers for the $4.99 super sticker.
Oh yeah, cheers.
What's up, Jaime?
Nothing, man. Don't worry about
it. Cheers. So back to this. He ends up he finds them. The police get called in. They find the Jaime just bounced out too. They find the what's it called? They find the weapons. They do a search of his house, and he allows them to search his house. Is that correct?
Yeah, he never once any search that they did of any area, property, car, he never once stopped them.
Never once stopped them. So is he also he had a lot of weapons at that house, right? And none of those weapons, none of them matched either way.
Yeah, an absolute arsenal.
Are there any weapons of his that are missing?
Wait, yeah, there are. Paul had a gun that was actually stolen out of a truck at a party.
And it's a 300 blackout rifle.
That's a big part of this trial too. They keep hammering down how careless everyone was with these guns. They would go out to that hunting ground, they'd go out there for the dogs. They would, they had golf carts, they had automobiles that they would travel around this. They would, shoot and hunt on this property. They would, numerous different people that are friends of the family, that would hunt with the family, that worked for the family, say that they could just be out doing whatever and find a gun laying somewhere. But the one gun that was absolutely stolen was one that Paul owned. That was stolen from a party, and he had just laying in his truck.
And it shot the same 300 blackout rounds that Maggie was killed with.
Now that was reported though. That was reported though, right?
Oh, that I'm not sure of. That's a good question, actually. I'm not sure if that came to light after all this came up, or if they actually reported that at the time. That's a good question.
Somebody in the chat asked or said they were. So I mentioned there was a moment like something that didn't sit right with me was that two guns were used. Yeah, they owned a lot of guns, but why would one guy use two different guns to kill two people in the same place? Right.
Well, unless he was trying to get
unless he's trying to cover it up, which just makes total sense.
Right.
But yeah, so you've got a shotgun, which I don't know what kind of shotgun.
Not an alibi to cover it up.
But let's say the shotgun is a double barrel and it's got two shots in it. And you shoot Paul with the shotgun, and then you've just got another rifle sitting there beside you, or maybe hanging off your shoulder. You take it, pick it up, and shoot Maggie. You could have done both, the whole deal, with just the rifle. You know what I mean? I mean, right? He could be.
At that point, it does seem like there would almost be two shooters, just because.
Yeah. To me, it sounds like two shooters.
Yeah, because if Paul's getting shot, which I believe that's how they kind of figured it out. I don't think they know that 100%, but they basically think Paul was shot first and twice and killed first. But Maggie's going to hear that and start freaking out, right? I mean, you're going to change guns while she's running away, like.
My whole point around that theory is, if you've got the rifle already with you, why didn't you shoot both of them with the rifle?
Yeah, it's
how far separated were the bodies?
What was it again?
How far separated were the bodies? Like, for instance,
I don't think they were too separated apart from each other. I think Paul was actually located because there's like, if you've seen the actual property, there's the dog kind of like kennel area. Paul was actually killed inside of that, inside of one of those rooms. And I'm sure you guys have read or heard that his brain came completely outside of his head, bounced off the ceiling. The way, actually, some good trial stuff from yesterday. One of the guys was a gun expert or whatever. But the way they were kind of talking about the way Paul would have been shot sounds like it doesn't even really make sense. It sounds like, someone really tiny would have had to either really tiny or the way, because like literally like they're saying out the gate, first of all, he was shot point blank in the chest. But then the second shot, he would have been like, and I'm going to do this so the camera can see, but he would have been like this. It would have been an angle, and he would actually be crouched over, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like, it's just the way you'd be acting, right?
Shot from the hip. It is a shotgun.
Because you're going bang, but maybe he got the blast off because he did have to shoot twice. Paul's freaking out, right? Kind of running towards him. I don't know if that would immediately kill him or not, but dude freaks out and falls on his butt, maybe.
The actual drive, but he's an experienced shooter too, so that doesn't make a lot of sense. Well, if it's Alex, right?
Yeah. Even if it was a hired person, they would be experienced. They wouldn't have that kind of mistake.
Right. Unless it's just like, I mean, it could just be some random. If it wasn't Alex and it's some complete rando that's like just wants revenge and doesn't have experience with guns. But I mean, even this town, like, it's going to be hard to find somebody that doesn't have experience with guns in a town like this, honestly.
Yeah.
And so all that is Alex automatically seen as a suspect from day one?
I would imagine so.
Like, they didn't actually. What are they? I don't think they arrested him till like September, or like really started getting suspicious and act. There's an interrogation, I believe, from September, when they're basically talking to him, and he has his lawyer beside of him. This is inside of an actual room, and the way they're questioning him, they're not actually coming right out and saying that you're a suspect, but the way the lawyer is being smart about it, they're kind of dancing around it for a minute, but then the lawyer basically says, we're going to cut to the chase here. Is Alec a suspect? And the cop literally just shrugs his shoulders at him. So he was a suspect pretty early on.
Yeah.
But I mean, Alec is also a habitual liar. Like, he is endlessly lying and been caught in lies. And
so Alex immediately, from what I understand, is blaming the boating incident, right? Some type of retaliation from that. That's what's going on. That's what his defense has been.
Yeah, I think that they're thinking basically, I don't know if it's that 100% if they're going to go that angle with the boat, but he definitely is. Anytime that he was being interviewed and they get to the end of it, he is finishing and basically was saying, what do you guys know? Have you looked into anything else? Have you got anybody? So I would imagine that's probably what he's thinking. It's a revenge thing because of Paul, and there's a lot of, talk about how after that happened in the community, Maggie, who had actually been shunned, they weren't really, say if she was going out to get her hair or nails done, they weren't really communicating with her the same. Paul had been shunned to an extent too. Of course, he still had his friends, but they would go to parties and stuff, and people would outright just talk crap to him and say some pretty messed up stuff. And that's been related in these interrogations too with Alec. So I mean, there's some enemies out there that could have 100% potentially had motive to do this. I think think about the whole the boat incident. I know that there was an active trial, but everybody in that town is looking at that. Just take this, for example. When Paul actually got arraigned, he was supposed to actually be cuffed. He didn't get cuffed. He was standing right there with his grandpa and his dad. Didn't get cuffed. And then his actual mugshot was taken in the hallway of the courtroom. He didn't have to do anything else. He got straight in a car and went to the house. So everyone's probably looking at that and is thinking, this guy's going to get off. This girl, and especially if you're that girl's family, my God, he's going to get off here probably, right? And I mean, that is a motive for revenge in my eyes. I mean,
did the guy that attempted a murder on Alex go on the stand at all?
The cousin Eddie guy. I don't think he's actually been up.
Okay. Yeah. So that's what brings me to my next question is, after this occurs, a couple months go by, more stuff comes out about his fraudulent stuff, Alex, that is, and then he gets shot, right? Apparently, or allegedly shot.
Yeah, he was shot. He actually was shot. There's a picture. So, I mean, basically the way this was actually coming out pretty heavily in trial this week as well. So he is saying that he wanted to die, basically. He contacted his drug dealer, is what he's even saying, this guy, Eddie. They met on the side of the road. He said and a lot of this doesn't make a lot of sense because the cop that's actually even being told this in the interrogation can't even wrap his head around it, because basically Alec said, hey, meet me on the side of the road. I want you to shoot me I want you to kill me. I want you to shoot me in the head and kill me. And Buster was going to get a $12 million like insurance deal from it. That was his whole plan. That's what he's saying, by the way. But anyways, they meet on the side of the road, and they're saying, so what were you going to give Eddie? Were you going to pay him anything? And Alec even at this point is still saying nothing. Nothing. He was just going to do it as a friend, I guess, right? Like, it's so silly. But he did. He shoots him. he shoots him one time. It grazes him essentially. Alex said that he lost his vision. He ends up going to the hospital and he's fine. But yeah, another weird layer to this case is the whole drug dealer cousin Eddie thing.
Now, didn't he take a lie detector test?
No, I'm not sure on a lie detector though.
Eddie.
I'm sure he did, but I don't know any information on that.
I thought I read that somewhere that he failed.
I bet he did though, but just out the gate, I haven't seen that. I would actually be interested to see how that played out though, to see how he did it, especially in the beginning days.
First of all, I want to say to Brewdog Brewery, this Elvis juice, it sucked, bro. Like the grapefruit infused IPA. I'll give it a 1. I'm gonna drink it because I'm a man of my word, and I drink it till it's that.
I give it a 1.
Yeah,
damn, that's bad.
You can't put Elvis's name on something this crappy.
Oh, dude.
What is it called again? Say the name again.
It's a Brewdog's Elvis juice.
Brewdog's Elvis juice. Oh my
And it's
goodness.
grapefruit infused IPA.
IPA.
And so, real quick, guys, I wanted to say that we're going to be doing a members only live here in probably about another 20 minutes or so. We'll be jumping off of this and going to a members only live. If you guys want to continue that, I highly recommend joining the membership tonight. We're also going to be giving away this hat to one of the members on the members only live. So if you're interested, please hit that membership and we'll see you guys there in a little bit. But we're going to continue this conversation for the next 20 minutes or so. So, so basically what it boils down to is, well, I'll ask this. Did they do a gun residue test on Alex that night?
I believe they did that night, yeah.
Did he pass or fail that?
I believe that he had some, thinking back on it, it's murky to me on that side because that was so early in the trial now. But there has been a lot of gun residue talk, and they were trying to figure out something on his clothes, but on his actual hands, I don't think so. Don't quote me on that though.
Got you.
But one thing that kind of goes to that point is that they were really hammering down on the night when they got there, the first sled agents, that the clothes that he was wearing were basically pristine. Like, and he had said that he had like touched both Maggie and Paul, checked for pulses. So that's kind of odd. Like he didn't have anything on him at all. Like nothing. His hands were fine. Like he did say he went back to the house and got that shotgun and came back. But I mean, I wouldn't imagine he went in there and take a shower. You know what I mean? Like, but those clothes, the initial clothes that they were actually running tests on, there's a lot of BS around that too, because once the agents actually got that, they started running tests to try to find any kind of like blood splatter or any kind of like residue, and they ran like 35 tests, I believe, and basically they were just kind of hitting it to try to get a positive, and they actually did end up getting a positive, but they had to run it 35 times to do so.
Dang.
Like, what is that? Like, if you actually watch this trial, one thing, and again, hell, he might have actually done it. I don't know, because they've done such a shitty job of proving it. Like, but yeah, like that's what's the most frustrating part is like you know, there's points where I'm like, oh my God, yeah, like, but then they actually, when Cross gets up there, you know, Alex's team, and gets up there and they start hammering in on this other team that the state has brought up. I can't wait to see what happens with the other side now that they've kind of switched. But I mean, they get dismantled because they didn't actually do their jobs properly at all. Like they didn't follow the protocols, like nothing. Like, but you know, at the end of the day, it's going to come down. The trial, dude, I will say this: this trial is basically like a Southern soap opera. Like this is the closest thing that I've seen to an episode of Matlock. Yesterday, there was some like hard cross coming in from this Griffin guy that was for Murdaugh, and dude, it was I was having a ball watching it. Like it was, and it was that fast paced, like bam, bam, and hammering his hand down on the ball. It was legit. Yeah.
So it was a lot faster paced than the that lady opening some.
Yeah. See, and that's it too. This is a really boring trial, dude. Incredibly boring. Like, but there are some days where a few cool things happen. This week has had some of the most interesting parts, and I would say that day, I believe it was Wednesday. I don't think it was yesterday. Was probably the best day.
Wow.
How about what do you guys think about the Idaho case?
Oh, well, we're going to jump into that in just a second. But before we do, Do any of you guys have any questions about the Murdaugh trial before we jump into that direction?
Nope.
Blue?
No, I'm good. I'm gonna catch up on it though.
Yeah, look into it. It is really interesting. It really is.
Yeah, I think that, like, I've been watching some of it. I've seen some of the things that they say. There's that Snapchat video that kind of proves that or shows that he may have been there at the house during the time of the incident, instead of at his mother's house. There's also the photos where it looks like he's changed of clothing. And so when you look at those two things, in my opinion, here's the thing though, if you're not more so than not at the point when the prosecution rests, that's a problem, because now it's the defense's turn to poke holes and to bring their witnesses and do all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. So at this point of the trial, before we move on to Idaho, do you guys think he's more than likely going to be found guilty or be acquitted? Now, that's not that he did it or not, more than likely found guilty or not. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I flip-flopped so many times, but right now, if I was today going to guess what the jurors were going to do, I would have to say not guilty.
Not guilty. What about you, Dan? What do you think?
I was actually gonna say guilty. I think the juror is gonna
but I could also see it going that way. But.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out after the defense does their side and everything, and we'll see what happens.
By what I've seen, I would say guilty because he lied being there. He lied, and then his own friend threw him under the bus.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a good chance that he did it. Proven beyond reasonable doubt. That's the question. That's
actually where I'm at. Like, that's my whole not guilty. They haven't proven that. Like, that's what's sad, actually. Because if he did do this and we're at this point, then they've really shit the
dropped
bed.
the ball. Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
and if he doesn't get found guilty, he has 100 other charges coming at him.
Yeah, they're saying that too, right? He's got so many other financial charges. He's got like 150 years under him, anyways. So.
That's true. That is true. And so, translating to the Idaho case, which one do you think at this point, based on the information that we have, do you find is a stronger case? The case they have against Murdaugh or what they're presenting against Bryan Kohberger?
That's an interesting question, actually. I think some people should probably watch the Murdaugh stuff, maybe even for today. They were doing a lot of cell phone analysis stuff with basically doing pings and stuff and reading some of the data off of Alex's phone actively during the crime. One question that's interesting, and I'm just going to bridge it here for a second here. One thing in the Murdaugh trial that they were kind of talking about, they were talking about how at one point he was about 80 miles per hour, and they knew that because of his phone. And the defense basically came up and started talking to the cell phone expert, and they were saying, at this point, when this pinged at this rate of speed, is it possible that could have been a car passing by? And just like little weird, like you were saying earlier, they're going to poke holes and everything. Back to the Kohberger part, the pings and the cell phone stuff, I think that's probably the easiest stuff to pull apart.
Right.
But to your question, do I think which one has the better case? Right now, probably Murdaugh, and it's got a shitty one. So
I was saying Kohberger because they have DNA at the crime scene.
Let me tell you about those cell phone pings. Okay, there's one thing that I know personally. They work, for instance. So one Christmas, I was going to Del Rio to visit my family.
Oh, that's right, Ivory. I'm sorry. It was the OnStar in his car that was saying that. I apologize. Sorry, Blue.
No, it's okay. It's okay. And my brother asked if I could take his kids with me, and I said, yeah, I can take them. I got a minivan. They fit, whatever. So I'm going, and I like to pass people on the highway. I don't like to be the last one. So, I pass people. And my sister-in-law told me when I got to my parents' house, because they got there a couple hours later, it's like, you got there pretty quick, huh? I was like, well, sort of, yeah. She's like, well, my phone said you passed 100 over 3 times.
I
think 115 was the highest they said you were going. I was like,
damn,
that's about right.
You don't want to be admitting that on on something that's broadcasted out there and saved on the internet.
Well,
But
let them catch me.
we got 2 people joining, 2 folks joining us as members. Thank you, Melissa, and thank you, Junior Lopez. We appreciate y'all being members. So with Bryan Kohberger, you're saying that those phone pings are probably the one that could potentially get, have the holes poked into it.
Seems like it to me that that's where they'd probably be able to poke the most holes.
How confident are you in the other remaining evidence? There's DNA on the sheath.
The sheath.
Right. There's
and that's huge to me. That's huge. He's not supposed to be there, and his DNA's in the house. That's not good.
That's 100% true.
Right. And I mean that's the one thing that I think is their biggest piece of evidence. The phone pings, there was one time that it said there that he was not in Moscow and he reported or connected to a Moscow tower on the 14th. And so that tells you that they're not reliable. And so this is a rural area. There's not that many towers. It's not like, a big city that's going to have a humongous amount of towers that are around. They're going to be able to triangulate, pinpoint accuracy. Now, there's been talk about a Bluetooth speaker and this, that, and a third. I'm not sure.
No, him connecting to the Bluetooth, right?
Right, that there's a possibility of that, but I'm not sure if a Bluetooth device keeps a record of the devices that are nearby that are possible to connect to it. Because I'm not sure he did connect to it. I think that he may have had his phone on. I guess they're hoping he had his phone on airplane mode, and that it wanted to connect. But when I put my phone on airplane mode, I have to turn on my Bluetooth for it to work.
Yeah,
mine automatically turns off.
I would imagine airplane mode turns off pretty much all of your functionality, right? That's kind of what it's for. No Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth.
Right. And when I go on a plane, I'll put airplane mode, and then I got to turn on the Wi-Fi and turn on the Bluetooth, I believe. I think it shuts me off. And it'll work. I just got to turn it on. It could be different with iPhone. I'm not entirely sure. I don't have an iPhone. But you also have the witness statement, Dylan's statement of what she saw, and you have video evidence of a white vehicle that matches the description of his vehicle. Do you guys think that that's strong enough evidence do you think it's strong evidence at all?
I don't know, man. Like, what do you think on that one, Dan? Like the Dylan stuff, like basically her description that she's got.
No, that's been confusing. I don't know what that is, right? That's hard to decipher because it's what she said in the affidavit doesn't make any sense to me, right? I don't know, like the most recent stuff that's maybe come out about her. Is there new stuff with her? Because I mean, the affidavit is the only solid stuff we have, right? I mean, anything else is
there's some stuff slipping through the cracks, but I mean, it's not hard to like take.
It's not real.
You got to take everything with a grain of salt with it. Like, there's so much BS.
It's not hard actual facts. Well, like the affidavit with her statement doesn't make sense to me. The her not hearing things doesn't make sense to me. Well, she heard some things, but she didn't hear what you would expect to hear based on the violent crime that took place. I don't know. I'll be interested to see if she, is a witness in the trial to see what she says, because the affidavit didn't make sense to me. I think she's lying.
I can't wait to see how they kind of. I mean, there's no way she's not going to be on there, right? Like, I don't think that this one's going to be televised, unfortunately. But we'll probably be stuck with drawings. I think that they can have videos in to be released after the fact, but I think they're trying to X that out too. I don't think they want anything to be released from this. But I would love to see how they actually kind of go at Dylan on the stand if they go that direction, because I mean, she's going to have to explain that.
Because it makes no sense.
But all she has actually basically said is that there's a dude with bushy eyebrows. And they've gotten to Bryan Kohberger by the touch DNA, which is the strongest thing that they've got, really. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think at the end of the day, and one part that's going to be hard to do. I mean, and Maybe not. I was about to say, it's going to be hard to do is maybe find a jury that's not tainted, but I'll correct myself before I even say that, because I don't know if you guys talk to anybody else outside of the crime stuff, but there are people that don't even know about this, so that shouldn't be too hard to do. So you probably are going to have some folks that they can get in there to be jurors that could hear all of this for the first time and not be tainted with all the BS.
That's a good point.
But to your question, I don't know. I'm not sure.
The DNA is used for a jury, though. I mean, that's, to me, that is the biggest.
That is definitely the biggest.
That's why I feel like there's a strong case against Kohberger.
Because they have to explain how
they actually have DNA.
There.
They have DNA from somebody who's not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And once we get back to the last part where some of the stuff that they got out of Kohberger's Pullman apartment, the one thing that could possibly be substantial, which it could also be nothing at the same time, especially if it's just one single dog hair. But if it was to actually go back to the dog that was Kaylee's, that would be pretty crazy. But also, is it literally a single strand? Like, is it one hair? That seems almost impossible.
Well, I mean, it's not tested yet either. It didn't come back tested to be.
That's already come back?
No, well, not to us.
Gotcha.
Not to the public.
Gotcha.
The public only knows the fact that they collected those hairs. Those hairs are probably collected because to the naked eye, they probably could be to the dog, or you're probably seeing some long strands that are blonde, things of that nature. They're not going to go and pick up like red hair, right? If none of the victims had red hair. And so, they're only going to pick up the hairs that they feel that could potentially be a match. Now, the fact that this is he hadn't lived in that apartment complex very long. It was probably going to be a apartment that was leased out to college students. So who knows how many people have been in that apartment.
That's a good point, too.
And it's a party place. People are hanging out there.
Right, exactly. And I'm talking in reference to Kohberger's house. And in reference to the other side, that house is a party house. That's going to have DNA throughout everywhere. I mean, you look at the what's it called? You look at the report of the students that were there. The report that Ethan's best friend is the one who walked in, discovered the bodies, and that when the police showed up, there was a bunch of college kids outside. That leads me to believe that scene was well tainted. There's also pictures there of first responders in and out of that area without protected gear or protected booties over their shoes, things like that.
Seriously, dude.
Yeah, there was a lot of mistakes made.
Too.
A lot of mistakes made. I think that a lot of the phone evidence might be thrown out just because I don't think they had very much evidence to begin with to get the warrant for the pings. Just going based on the fact that he had a car where they themselves said there was 22,000 cars that matched their description in the area. And then you also had a height and weight of an average guy with bushy eyebrows. It's not enough, in my opinion, to narrow it down. Thank you very much, Michelle L, for becoming a YouTube member. To me, it's not enough. And so I think a lot of that's going to be coming out, are going to be thrown out. And so, one last question before we jump. Well, me, Jaime, and Blue are going to jump on to our member show. I don't know if you guys want to jump on with us. I know you have your own show to go on.
We're going to be doing a little bit of a live, real quick, on Public Buzz on Friday nights. We do a regular live stream over there. And it's usually about a 10:30 show. But yeah, tonight we're actually going to pop over as soon as this live from you guys on YouTube goes. Basically to try to capitalize on everyone in here. If everybody wants to have a drunk turkey show after party, we're going to be doing that on our channel. So
yeah. Make sure you guys. Yeah, make sure you hit that. This is their channel, Publicly Buzzed.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Check them out. And so before we go and before we jump on to the other side, and when we get to, I
want to say one thing at the end. All
right. And so, do you think that Bryan Kohberger did this by himself, or do you think that was a co-defendant?
I don't.
I was going to say the same thing. I do not.
Like, that's been pretty much out the gates before I really even had a lot of other info. And that's kind of a silly thing to say, but really what I was basing that on is the grand scheme of how big it actually was. One man and doing this much damage on his possible go, who knows, but I don't think so, man. I think
I find it very hard to believe one man of his stature with a knife, and we know what type of knife it was, or well, we know what type of knife went into that sheath, right? That's about all we know in terms of the murder weapon. But one man of his stature with that knife takes on 4 healthy college students. Blows my mind. I don't think it's possible.
Yeah, and thank you, Gina Misty, with the $2 super chat. Big Blue looks so handsome with his hat.
I do like that cowboy hat.
It's looking good.
Thank you. I've had it for a few years, so they hold up. It's a cheap Justin hat.
And so we're going to talk about our theory on the members only show. That's good. Do you guys have any final questions or comments, Blue, Hyman, before we let Publicly Buzz go?
Hyman?
You go, Blue.
I just want to say thank you guys for coming on.
Oh, dude, thank you for having us, bro.
Cheers.
Hey, and I've said this on my stream many times. I'm going to say it on your stream right now. All of you guys have blown up, and it's been awesome to watch. And you guys have not the ladder up behind you like a lot of channels and people do. Once you start succeeding and helping out not only us, tons of these channels. I mean, you've been having so many dope channels helping them out. You guys are seriously the MVPs of this entire crime community right now. Like, seriously, thank you guys so much for having us.
I'm glad to call you guys new friends, new drinking buddies. Hopefully we can do this again.
Yeah,
you guys can be on our show. Exactly. We can do your show again. This is awesome.
Yeah. We'll definitely come on your show. We'll do one where we'll take a night off on ours and we'll get crazy. Jaime, you got any last comments?
What's that?
You got any last comments?
I just want to make sure that everybody in the chat knows to go and sign up to subscribe to their channel. Just not but for the channel itself. But I heard they told me before the show that if they get so many subscribers, they're gonna let their beard grow longer than mine.
True. Mine's already getting completely out of control.
Steve might already be there. He's pretty
ZZ Top's over here, man. Come on.
Mine actually usually isn't this big. Like I just haven't shaved since like October, and I don't know. I've been lazy. And now it's kind of getting to the spot. There's a spot where like the beard is weird, and then once you get past that, it turns into something that's halfway decent. So I've made it past that, so I'm gonna probably keep it for a little while.
Yeah, it's got to go with somebody to shape it nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I noticed that like every time I eat or something, because I'm Hispanic, half Mexican or whatever, I grab a taco and I get a full hair in my mouth. So that's probably the only reason I want to kind of trim it down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I want to say one more thing before we go. The reason I'm wearing the hat and stuff, it's rodeo weekend here in Texas. So Sunday I'm going to rodeo. I take my parents to see the Los Tigres del Norte, which is a big Mexican, I would say ranchero kind of band. Mm-hmm. It's their 50th year anniversary, so that's my gift to them. So if y'all be out in the rodeo, I'll be at the rodeo on Sunday. Taking my parents out there, 50 years wedding anniversary.
That's awesome.
Whoa.
Wow.
Congratulations. Tell them congratulations. That's awesome.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy that Tigres del Norte is my uncles. They're best friends with them. So you should have just told me.
Yeah, man. Tell them I want to try to get them announced on stage this weekend.
They're childhood friends. They're childhood friends. So
wow,
that's cool, man.
That's awesome.
I didn't know
that's
that.
really
I didn't
cool.
know that. Well, guys, we're going to be jumping over to the members only live. Me, Blue, and Hyman. We're going to be talking about our theories, and we're going to talk about do we think there's a accomplice in the Bryan Kohberger case. If you're not going to jump over there, jump over to Publicly Buzz. They'll be going live as well and continuing the conversation.
Yeah, when you get done with the members only stream, hop on over too. I'm sure we'll still be going. So
on Fridays we usually go pretty deep.
Nice. Yeah, our members only stream is probably gonna be about 20 to 30 minutes, and so we'll be in the live chat.
Oh yeah, thanks again, guys.
Thanks everybody. Chad,
no problem.
Thank you guys.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you guys. Daniel, Jaime, Big Blue kind of left us there, I think, but
yeah.
But tell them I said thanks. You guys are awesome.
Will do, guys. Y'all have a good night. We'll see you guys on the members only. Peace out.
Later.
Usually takes a minute to end. Sometimes it's weird.
Blue's probably watching porn right now.